And so now let's talk about a few more examples. So malleability, as I mentioned earlier, is just the ability of a substance to be hammered into a thin sheet. So gold is definitely an example of that because because of jewelry, it is shaped into pretty much any shape imaginable. Right. Then you have melting and freezing points. These are the temperatures at which a solid becomes a liquid and a liquid becomes a solid. So freezing and melting points, and you're not changing the identity of a substance. You're just going from like solid H2O to liquid H2O to gas H2O, but you're not changing the identity of the subject. Density is the density of a substance is measures how close together its particles are, right? So the higher the density, that just means the particles are more tightly packed in, and those are more likely to sink to the bottom. So like here, you probably have like oil or something at that very bottom level, and at the very top, you probably have like either some colored water or some really light oil, and so that is low density. So it's going to kind of float to the top there of the mix that you have, the mixture. And so a physical change is just a change in the appearance without changing the identity of the material, right? So if you remember right here, the definition of a physical property, it's the property of something, right? Just something that kind of defines it that you can observe easily, right? You don't have to kind of go into the microscopic level and start pulling things apart. No, it's just kind of an observation that you make. So, but this is a physical change. So this is a change in the appearance of a material, but without actually changing the identity of that material, right? And these can be reversible or irreversible. And substances may seem different, but the way the atoms link up is the same, right? So an example of that could be ice versus liquid water versus steam, right? It may seem like they're all different, but the atoms are all linked up in the same way, right? It's still H2O. And so it is a physical change if it changes shape or size, right? If it dissolves or the substance changes phases, again, like solid, liquid, gas. And so you look at some of the examples here in the pictures, you have breaking glass. It's still going to be glass, right? It's just going to be broken into multiple pieces. Same thing with something like mixing candies. You're still dealing with the same amount of candies, you're just moving them in a different arrangement. Shredding paper, same thing. It's still paper. You're just turning it from one large sheet into a bunch of thin strips of paper. Same thing with that origami swan you see. It's paper. It's just folded. Ice, whether it's solid, liquid, or gas, is going to be H2O. And then chopping wood, just turning it smaller, cutting your hair, just making it shorter. Dry ice is just going from a solid to a gas. Boiling water from a liquid to a gas, still H2O. And then breaking the egg, still made of the same stuff. It's just now into different pieces. Right? And so some examples of chemical properties are, and again, a chemical property, just any ability to produce a change in the identity of the matter.